Alright. Emmy and the Incredible Shrinking Rat. Daddy's version. Bunde was a good rat. He traveled from haystack to haystack, one theater to the next. He had pouches that he would fill with all the glorious treasures that he would find on the way. Sometimes, and even once, he found one of those little sword-looking skewers from a margarita that holds the olives. He carried that trustily in his own homemade sheath that he made to put his sword in. He also had a little bow and arrow and a cap gun he kept in their own separate pouches that he had. He was quite the warrior rat. Gunde was traveling on a great journey and the railroads, and he would take the cars all the way to the next areas. And the silly elephant people that used the railroads had no idea he was there, creeping in the darkness. Gunde was a noble mouse/rat, pocket rat. He traveled far and wide to help any that he could, and to learn as much as he could on his travels. He had suffered great wounds from the wars he had fought, the great Rat War of '76, and the great war of all the animals in '85. But he was still here, a veteran of wars, a noble rat of all the nobleness, and a great man and a great woman, because he can be whatever he wants. Gunde, bless you.
Bless your soul, Billy.
Okay, whatever. So, Gunde, so far it hadn't helped. Gunde's parents went on one vacation after another, by the way. And that's actually just came out of the book, but I'm going to read that part. Gunde was also served in Vietnam and Viet Mouse, where he fought off the hordes of bad things. Anyways, Gunde was out seeking a new journey and adventure in his wonderful time. He had just got a new pouch to put things in, and he was ready to fill it as quickly as possible, then run back to any local orphanage he could find and disperse the treasures to the little mice and rats that didn't have any parents. He was coming across a giant mountain range, so he saw from the train as the train click-clacked across the tracks as it drove and rode further on into the darkness, but not too dark because the moon was full, and the light from it was almost as gracious as the sun, if not the same, because it is the sun's light after all. And he knew this because he was also an educated rat, a rat of science and knowledge, a rat that knew the earth was round when all the other rats thought it was still flat. He is not a flat earther. He is a round earther rat. Pouch rat, round earth rat. You see, still a lot of people thought the earth was flat around where Gunde lived, but they were clearly wrong. He could prove this simply by obviously other things that we're not going to discuss at this time. Gunde had a lot of family, and he even had his own pets. Do you know what Gunde had for pets? What?
I don't know.
No, you don't know? Spring peepers. That's right. Gunde had 12 baby and full-grown spring peepers. They don't get too big, so he didn't have to worry about them eating his little cousins, like the Pac-Man frog. But these spring peepers are the best. They're so great to him, and they would go. There was hunting spring peepers too, so he'd go out hunting with them, with all of his weaponry. And they would be bouncing along, beep, 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 doing their little spring peeper dance. And then he would shoot the mosquitoes out of the sky with his bow and arrow and toothpicks. And then they would get the mosquitoes knocked down, and the little spring peepers would go pick them up. But he never got to eat any because the spring peepers would eat them all.
I wouldn't even want to try it. Sounds gross.
If you were that small, it would be a lot bigger to you. Sometimes he would take a long time and stare into the moonlight, thinking about all the things he had done and seen in his life. And sometimes he would think of the things that were to come that had yet to pass. He would think of things that he would dwell on the things that he could have changed. And then again, he would realize that the wisdom he had gained over time, that there's no point in dwelling in the times of the past. Just learn from them and move on. Don't let them eat up your soul. Literally, just move on. Learn and move. Always keep moving. He'd love to play Call of Duty, and he remembered that whenever he played Call of Duty and he stopped moving, he would always get sniped. So, and like everything, always keep moving. Sometimes, of course, it's good to take some time to oneself. Pause, take in a deep breath, stop moving, or even when you sleep. What? He didn't sleep much, maybe 4 hours at the most. He was always going, a light sleeper at that. Always going, always ready. One day, he had to fight an alligator, and that often bothered him. He did not want to fight the alligator. The alligator did not want to fight him. Clearly, the alligator was scared of him. But they had to fight anyways.
Why?
They were in a pit. They were at Fight Club. We can't talk any more about it. So we're going to move to the next section.
Nice recording Fight Club.
Huh?
One rule about, first rule about Fight Clubs, don't talk about Fight Club. Why did you add it in there anyway?
It was here. I just read it in the book. Let me change the page. Okay. Goon Day was out. The train was coming to a halt. All of a sudden, just so quickly, all the brakes were going. The sparks were flying out from the metal on the tracks. Oh, the train was just making all kinds of noises. It screeched to a halt. He found himself almost tumbling to the front of the car. But not because he is such a strong rat. But he was definitely had his intrigue tumbled, as he needed to know and wanted to know why the train had all of a sudden stopped. Perhaps the conductor wanted to take a glimpse of the moon and catch a picture. Or perhaps they were being raided by cowboys or Native American Indians. They have to be PC. He quickly scurried over to the ladder, scurried up the side of the train car, and hopped onto the roof. The car had stopped moving at this point. And it's time to move forward.
What about Emmy? Oh, why is it called Emmy and the Shrinking?
Emmy and the Incredible Shrinking Rat? Because there was one person in front of the track on a giant white horse. And he ran down there to find out who it was. And he said, "Miss, it was a young girl with blonde hair. She was about 9 years old and had blue eyes. And her name was Emmy." Emmy said, "Hello, what's the rat's name? Gondo?
Yeah.
She said, "Hello, rat." He said, "Hello, back. What are you doing, Emmy?" Gondo. Oh, I don't remember. We're going to have to take our video real quick. Goodbye, everybody.